All right. I believe we are now streaming live onto YouTube. This is the October Marion County Night Academy site-based meeting. We have site-based member, teacher member Kim Goff, and teacher member Mike Carey, and parent member Paula Newby with us today. And I see I've got another one in the waiting. So we will bring in parent member Amanda Knopp here in just a second. She will be in. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share so you can see the agenda for today. And Amanda, can you hear us? I think so.
I don't see a link on Facebook yet.
Well, I know we're streaming on YouTube. I just tried to post it. Do I need to go back and try to repost it? Okay. We'll give it just a second. Amanda, if you can hear us, and anytime you all want to come off mute, you can. We are just working on making sure that the link on YouTube, that I've posted the correct link on Facebook so that this can go live. It is going live on YouTube. I just need to make sure I've got us connected to our Facebook correctly.
Miss Brady, do I have a video? I don't have a video, do I?
No, you don't, but that's okay.
Okay, I don't want one because I do not look presentable. So
okay, nope, it just says Amanda.
Okay,
I'll be turning mine off.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I don't see it on Facebook still.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep us going live, but I'm gonna turn off my camera so I can switch over and check again.
I'll keep looking.
Okay. But I'm going to turn off my camera so I can switch over and check again.
I'll keep looking.
Okay. But I'm going to turn off my camera so I can switch over and check again.
I'll keep looking.
Okay. All right, we're on. Yep. Excellent, excellent. So we are now on, we are live streaming onto YouTube, and then that YouTube link is connected to our Facebook page just to kind of make everybody aware. I'm gonna go ahead and screen share. Hopefully all that'll go great. Yes, all right. Can y'all see my screen? Yes. All right, awesome. So in our meeting today, we're going to look at our fall map data and our fall CERT data. We are starting kind of the beginning procedures on working on a school improvement plan. The school improvement plan runs from January to January. So even though this school year has already started, that's how the school improvement plan doesn't follow the school year quite the same. And then I've got a short little principals report with some catch-up coaching that we were doing, had just started when we were in person, and an update on ESS, and then distance learning updates. And I do have our Sbdm budgets printed here to share with you all as well. Can I get a motion to, and it's special called since we're off our regular schedule, so we cannot amend the agenda today. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that, Sarah, or Miss Brady.
That's fine. Is that Amanda?
Yes.
Okay. And then underneath here, I do have, well, I thought I had our minutes. Let me see if it just won't scroll. Oh, it didn't capture them. Somewhere it ate them. Here we go. They're above it. The minutes from last month, which was September the 21st, we met in the library. We were actually able to be in person for that one. We discussed a little bit about the school improvement plan. We decided to roll over last year's goals and just to revisit the strategies. We did have some consultation over the safety manager position that was offered to Tom Bystrict. We just started MAP and CERT testing. We did accomplish that club day, so we were able to have one club day in the end of September. We would have had our second club day Tuesday had things stayed in person, and then we did a budget update last meeting. Any questions over the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. And a second?
I second.
Is that Ms. Paula?
Yes.
All right. It's so easy with Mr. Carey. He's the only male, so I can pick him out pretty quick. Just making sure I get the right people here. All right. So the first thing I've got is looking at our fall MAP results. Those are CERT here. I'm gonna pull this back down. And what I went ahead and did, because I was very interested to see what it looked like at the beginning of this year as opposed to the beginning of last school year, the 1920 school year. Now it's two totally different student groups, so it is a little bit comparing apples to oranges. And MAP is an 8th grade test. So they normally take it at the very beginning, late August of the school year. This year we took it in later September because we got a later start onto our school year. But I was just very curious to compare. So I actually have pulled the overall data sets from both. Do I need to make this larger for you guys? If I bring it up to 200, it might get, I'll see what that looks like for you all. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So the top one here, this is fall 1920 math. 243 students were tested, and that their average RIT score, the score that they get from this test, we were at a 226.4. So that was last year fall. And then you can see the breakdown here in the colored percentages. The low means in the red there that they scored less than the 21st percentile. Generally, we refer to that as like a novice performance. Then the orange and the yellow are, we generally refer to that as like an apprentice type performance. 20% of our kids and then 16%, so like 36% were in that apprentice range last fall. And then your green is generally proficient at 33%, and then your high and that blue is, we generally consider that like a distinguished performance. So that is what it looked like at the beginning of the 1920 school year. These results here are from the this school year. So we tested a few less kids. We tested 232. The average RIT is a 222.9. So average wise, it is down. Of course, again, you know, that you could say, well, that could be attributed to the spring COVID results. And it could, but they are two different student groups. As far as novice performance, we had 18%. The year before was at 15. So a difference of a couple of kids there. The biggest difference is in that apprentice category. We had 19% and then 29%. So that mid-range has caught more kids this year on these test results, and then 23% proficient and 11% distinguished. So there is some change in that data from one year to the next. Again, they're two different student groups, but something to just kind of compare as we track data and go forward. Any questions right now on anything math related or comments? All right, I'll move on to reading. So again, reading is organized the same way. The last year's is at the top. The fall 1920 school year had 245 students take the reading test. And one thing I will point out about this year's MAP data, and you'll see that there's less students tested. We did offer our testing to our distance learners, even though we gave this in-person test. We did offer this to our distance learners, but not all of our distance learners came in person to take it. We had a couple, we called them, we scheduled some things, but and we did it. One of the days was that last Friday, October the 2nd, right before we left for fall break, that wound up being an NTI day. So we have had less students take the test, and some of that is because of the distance learning. Because that could have changed the results had all of our students taken the test like we were able to do in the 1920 school year. So I did want to point that out too, that's why there's a little bit difference. We have a different student population this year as far as how many kids we have, but we were also able to test a few less that could have had results in any one of those categories. So in reading, in the fall, the average RIT was a 218.9. And you can see there with the breakdown, about 13% novice, 15 and 27% in that average range, 32% proficient, and 13% distinguished. And then in this school year, 2021, we had a 217.3, so about a point difference in RIT starting off the school year there, with 16% novice, 16 and 28 in the average range, a 27 in the proficient, and a 13 in the distinguished. So it'd be nice if they were so on top of each other. So not as much change in the different percentage range with the reading. Math is extremely sequential, where reading is a little bit more ongoing and broad. So two totally different subjects, two totally different ways that they're taught, and that students are able to accomplish those tests. So we do know where our kids are at. We were able to get the MAP data with them. We will give it again in the winter portion and again in the spring. Some differences that we're already noticing with our block scheduling. Some students took the MAP test in the fall, but they might not be scheduled to have a math class until the spring semester. They might be taking math in that second section, the silver section, and they might not have current math content. So that's another thing that we've noticed that's a little bit different, and we're having to just do things a little bit differently this year with our MAP or with our math results. I don't have K-Prep data. Normally at this time of year, we're looking at K-Prep data and deciding on those kinds of things. But of course we don't have that this year. But I would point out that our math scores, even on K-Prep, have not overly changed in the last 2 or 3 years. They've just hung just a scooch below the 50% mark on the proficient distinguished. So as we think about school improvement planning, that may be an area where we might want to focus in on and even have some discussion with our math teachers about what resources or tools that they might need to help bring kids up in the math area. Before I move on to CERT, are there any math questions or concerns or comments?
Miss Brady, the only comment I have is, I know we're looking at the students are distance learning right now for the next 2 weeks, and then depending on what the COVID numbers continue to do, that might be prolonged. In math is one of those things that you really have to be engaged to learn. And have you all thought through, and I'm sure you have, but have you thought through like what to do for the math scores if we do continue to be on distance learning for longer? Or are there any apps that can maybe be adapted in the homes, or some links for different resources that the kids could practice more at home, those type of things?
One thing that they have recently, the math teachers have recently learned more about, so I don't know how much they're using it just yet, is a program that the district bought us called Achieve 3000 Math. It's an online math like supplemental program that they can assign lessons through and practice through. We did have one of our 9th grade math teachers that was really looking at a program called IXL Math. I'll be honest, her first quote was extremely expensive. I hate to say that, and we'll talk budget later. But she was trying to kind of maybe talk to that company, and see what they could do. We wanted to go ahead and make sure we were utilizing Achieve 3000 well, since that's something that's already been purchased, because it's one of those things, we can purchase more and do more, but we want to make sure we're doing things with fidelity and we're using things well instead of just getting a bunch of stuff. And then when I was in the elementary setting, we used it was a book, like a workbook, that really helped with our math scores, called Simple Solutions. I don't know if they even make a product that goes up to the 8th and 9th grade, but with that little book, it was about 15 minutes a day, and it was just a spiral review. It had 15 problems, and it just went through all these different concepts, and they just reviewed, and that just kept those kind of fresh and sharp instead of learning something, and kind of letting it go. But I do think, Amanda, that our next step is to talk with our math department, and especially with the school improvement planning, and see what the site-based can do to help them and make sure that they've got the resources and tools they need, especially considering we might have more virtual learning. Anything else before I look at CERT testing? So CERT testing. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Perry.
It's going to be the same thing with CERT testing as it is with MAP testing, and it's a question about taking it a 4th time to get balance between the semesters. So I mean, we can just talk about it later too.
Yes, and we talked about that too. We have to have some data points, like 3 data points a year, but we'd also had some conversation about wishing we had 4, like beginning and end of first semester, beginning and end of second semester. So those are some things that we can, I think, if you're going to take data, being able to use it well to grow yourself and grow the students is important. So the CERT results that are on your screen right now are last year's freshman graduating class of 23. And then in parentheses, you'll see like English 18, math 19, reading 20, and science 20. Those are the actual ACT benchmarks that we have placed in there. So students take the ACT for the first time as sophomores, and then it again is juniors. And then, of course, you're able to take it as many times as you want to pay for it and increase your ACT score. So the CERT is a kind of an ACT mimicker. It's a very small version. The freshman version is made just for them, to get them to start practicing taking a rigorous timed test, having questions that are like the ACT. So for our freshmen, for their fall results, sometimes our kids can be disappointed because they didn't get an 18, but that 18 score is like graduating with a benchmark of 18 or higher. So our last year freshmen in the fall, their composite, which is, their group average, was a 16, starting out in this, mimic the ACT test, a 15 for math, an 18 for reading, and a 16 in the science, with a total composite for our group as being a 16. And then in this freshman group, pretty similar results. And you'll see a little difference again in the math. I think if I hold it like that, you all might be able to see both. So the benchmarks are a little bit the same, although you'll see that science has come up. And again, that's a end of graduation benchmark there. That this year our group was a 15 in English, a 13 in math, a 16 in reading, a 15 in science with a composite of 15. So again, most of the CERT test is about exposure, practice, conversation. We'll eventually get into setting some goals. In the past, we have been able to have like ACT prep sessions where kids have signed up and had a conference style and really worked with kids to improve their ACT. Of course, with all things COVID this year, it makes it a little extra complicated to do those things, but we're still willing to get in and look at those, how we can improve those, and giving the kids even test taking tips a lot of times for this kind of test is important so that they know how to get it and be successful. Comments about CERT testing? And again, this will be something the kids do 2 more times this school year. Our big work for today is to look at our school improvement plan. So what I did to make it a little easier, if you saw the school improvement plan, I think I printed it last meeting, and it's a pretty long flip kind of through book. So I went ahead and just made a document here that has the goal out to one side and then the current things that we're doing and then anything revisions that might need to be made. This is our October meeting. We'll look at it again in November. Our November meeting, we could approve it, or we could look to approve our school improvement plan in December, as long as our site-based meeting was prior to the board meeting. The board has to approve it in December because it has to be sent on to the state level. So we would just need to make sure that we've got it finished and ready before board approval in December. I'd like to have a lot of teacher input on the school improvement plan because we can decide what they need to do, or they can help us decide what's going to be the best strategies for our students. So the first two are going to be real similar in the strategies. In fact, they're identical because there's a proficiency goal, which is about math and reading, and a separate academic indicator, which is social studies and writing for us. So we've always kind of had the school of thought, if the instructional practice will improve math scores and it's good to do for math, it's probably good to do for writing and social studies. There's a few differences in them, but they have, on our school improvement plan, been very similar. And you all, like I said, we can talk about it tonight. We don't have to have the exact answers. I'd like to get teacher input as well. And then we can kind of finalize next month as well. So the strategies are, I'd shortened it there with professional learning communities, PLCs. That's when teachers are meeting together, looking at data, seeing how their instruction did with the students, how it downloaded, what strategies they can share, that conversation about students and where to go and what to do. That's a pretty powerful strategy. In the past, we've used instructional rounds, which means teachers going out and observing their colleagues and working together to improve the school. That's been extremely powerful. I've had a little bit of thought, like, I wonder how I'm going to do that this year and keep us all safe. I do think there's ways to do that. It'll just have to look a little different, like all the other things that we've been doing. High effect instruction means the teachers are selecting things that they plan, that they know are good strategies that cause growing. At one point, we had personalized learning study groups. I think we've probably gone past the study group part, and we're all a little bit more focused on personalized learning with students, small group instruction, co-teaching, and we had developed a literacy plan last year in the 8th grade to help with the bridging all of the subjects together. That's what's currently on there for those two. We did say we definitely want to and I don't have the answers right now, but have some sort of extra focus on math. Anything else that just pops up that you think needs to, like I said, we can just highlight it and say, we need to think about this or look at this or add this or do more research, because we're still just kind of in that development stage of working on our school improvement plan.
I think we're at the stage of needing a lot of teacher input.
Okay.
I mean, not just mine, I mean in general.
And that would be, and I'll send it out, waiting for that just right moment for teachers this year to get them to get some input is something, I try to be cognizant of, because timing is great. And finding that hole to get them to have a chance to be able to talk about some school improvement strategies. The next one is our gap groups. And we even have some gap between our female and male population, as well as some subgroups. We have in the past, just a celebration. One of our gap groups in the past has that we focused on is students with disabilities. And that was a focus that we made a couple of years ago, was really working with those ECE teachers and students with disabilities. And of course, we don't have current KPREP data, but the KPREP data that we can track over those other years, there has been substantial growth in the student with disabilities, and that gap was closing and it was improving. So that's been really good. We've done that by, curriculum data monitoring, evidence-based strategies again, getting in there and giving kids the instruction that makes the most impact. We've done some daytime tutoring in the past. We've had a lot of different flexible interventions. We have even more interventions going this year, because the site base approved the hiring of 2 interventionists. So we've actually got some even more scheduled interventions and an intervention group that are working with kids. And then even little things like catch-up coaching and some of the things that we're doing. We have been using Achieve 3000 with our students with disabilities, and that was specific to reading, co-teaching, and then looking at just some brain research and how kids learn and how to go about that. I'll give you a moment to digest that and see if there's any comments you want to make or suggestions there.
I think we're ahead of the game in that, just because of hiring the interventionists.
I do, and I think that that's something we could write in as something that we've done this school year that's been different. And I mean, it's just been to have people that's their role and that's their job and that's what they're focused on, and they're looking at student data and they're making those decisions, and it's such a team effort. I've been very pleased, because neither one of them have been interventionists before, both certified teachers, but they've really tried to learn their roles and really work with kids. Our graduation rate, of course, is indicative of how many kids graduate Marion County High School. Some things we've done in the past are like authentic learning experiences. Our partnership with Miss Pittman, our Frisky, has been wonderful. I know she's come to me a couple times and she's been like, this year, I don't know how we're going to take these field trips, because in the past she has been able to visit, I think she tries to hit 9 different colleges, or it's a collection of colleges, industries, like trade schools, those type places that kids have been able to go and visit and see, which has been very impactful for them. We've had work with our ILP, which is our individual learning plan, that helps our kids kind of prepare and think through their choices now and their future choices. We've had mentorship programs in the past. In a couple of years ago, we'd had some kids work on future stories. That is not something that we're currently doing, but could stay on the school improvement plan. A future story is when they sit down and kind of write out their goals and have a map and a plan for how they're going to accomplish that. We still do a lot of attendance meetings. Attendance means a whole lot. Kids that come to school and listen to their teachers and are connected, they do better than kids that don't have that solid attendance. Distance learning puts a whole new layer of attendance on us this school year. And then success coaching is something that we've done in the past as well, similar to what we've called catch-up coaching this year a little bit. Growth. Goal setting is something we always do with CERT testing and MAP testing, evidence-based strategies. There are the two strategies there, the plus delta and the plan, do, study, act, are things that we do in meetings. What's working well, what's not, how are we going to fix it? Studying the data, making an action plan, and carrying it forth. So those are the things that we were working on with growth. And then transition readiness. Working with the Student Leadership Challenge, sources of strength, those college and career field trips. We've had outside partnerships in the past where Kia has come in and presented to the kids and explained that. We've had student success conferences like ACT prep type things, of course, the CERT testing, the My Shield. We had a really big plan with Academy Awards and My Shield last year, and COVID knocked us out a little bit with that. We were still able to do some student awards, but it wasn't quite the My Shield showcases, the peer showcases that we had planned originally. And then we do function in a house system so that we're able to kind of have group effort taking care of kids and having that kid discussion and having that sense of belonging to school that kids this age seem to thrive with, just needing to belong and wanting to be a part of something. I guess we've had in the past club day even on that one, but that's not something, I guess it got to be old hat with the club day. Anything on that one that might need to be edited that you can think of immediately?
Not that I can think of, Miss Brady.
Okay. So what I'll do is next steps, if you all think this is a good idea, I will work with teachers here, send this out, maybe in our next PLCs or small group meetings. Just sending in an email probably would not be the most effective way to get feedback, but just having some moment to have them look at what we've selected for school improvement strategies and getting some feedback from them that I can present to you all next month. There's no motion needed for that one. I was just wanting to know if those were the next steps you wanted me to accomplish. I'm getting some thumbs up.
That sounds good. I would like to hear.
Okay. Then our next meeting, I will have some input from teachers for you guys. So my principals report is next. One of the things that, flip back to the agenda for you. One of the things that we had just got off the ground right before we all went back to distance learning was some catch-up coaching. We've noticed that there are some students who really just need some support staying caught up for a variety of reasons. You know, we started the school year off distance learning, and that was a different way for them to accomplish their work and get connected. And then we've noticed with our block scheduling and our longer classes that we do, since we're 80 minutes and learning more in a day than we have in the past, that may equal more assignments to complete as well. So we had gone through both 8th and 9th grade looking at student grades and work they were missing, and had assigned them to a certified teacher that was meeting with them about 45 minutes was the amount of time we allotted, probably a little less than 45 once they all got settled and everything. But they were meeting with them twice a week, working on catching them up, working on talking to them about what they needed, and just giving that extra support for kids. We've done that twice. Our goal was to do it twice a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays. And of course, the kids transition in and out. It just depends on who needs catch-up coaching and who, you know, needs that extra support. It's something that we'll immediately put back into place when we get back in person. So we didn't really get to do it long enough to make a difference yet, But that is something that we felt was really going to help students get caught up and just get that extra support. They're 8th and 9th grade, so you're talking 13, 14-year-olds. Sometimes they need that extra support, and that extra adult saying, yes, you need to get it finished. Yes, you need to get it done. And we were working on a plan and looking, and it was comprehensive. It was every 8th and 9th grader, depending on their need. Some kids didn't need anything, and that was great. And the ones that did, we assigned something. We have had a lot of teachers sign up for ESS. We've got a few teachers still working on some virtual ESS and providing some of those services virtually. All of our teachers that have wanted to do ESS have filled out the paperwork, and they've got it turned in, and they've been hired. And we were working on an ESS kind of calendar for our parents to send out an email and even mail home. We did this week. It hasn't, we just put it in the mailbox today, so it will not be in other people's mailboxes until later this week. But we did mail home students' most current progress report. With that, in that letter was a letter, or in that envelope was a letter from me, just talking about reminding parents that these classes are semester based and they'll be over on January 22nd, that it's not all the way till May like it's been in the past, that they'll get 4 new classes when that date happens. So we're about halfway through the semester, just a little shy of halfway through. And then some success tips, making sure you're attending classes, whether that's virtually or in person, turning in assignments on time, asking questions, talking to your teachers. And then for parents, making sure, Infinite Campus is a great tool if you're connected to Infinite Campus and even have the app on your phone. It'll notify you grades and attendance and everything. So there was a little bit of like directions on how to get connected to your students' Google Classroom, how to get, updates from teachers in that regard. So all of that has been mailed home today for parents. And then hopefully later we'll be able to send out that ESS schedule in a variety of different formats, because I want to make sure, it gets to the parents. Not everybody's looking at their email, not everybody's on Facebook. So I want to make sure that they just had a hard copy and they could get that. And then, of course, we're all distance learning right now. And, as a parent, I'm getting to see it on that side. And as a principal, I'm getting to see it on this side. I've been super pleased with what I'm seeing teachers do and talk to kids and be there the entire 80 minutes for the kids and answering questions and being there. My son, who's a senior this year, is on his Chromebook and he is learning, and those teachers are talking and explaining and doing math, and he's taking notes. And it's difficult if the internet service is a bonus in distance learning, but if kids are getting on and getting connected and trying, I think our families are trying hard and our teachers are trying hard to make it work. Any questions on anything on the principal's report or comments? Y'all are so quiet. It's almost like you're getting videoed and streamed live. Well, if you all are ready to move on, I'll go ahead and go over our budget in random order. Our professional development budget is at $3,107.51. We haven't gone a lot of places just yet for professional development. Our instructional coach was going to go. It wouldn't have come out of our PD budget, but they canceled because it was an in-person training and they can't move it to virtually. So, even just having the opportunities to go places are a little bit limited right now. Our athletic travel is at $2,779.36. Our ESS budget, like I just said, we're just kind of getting that rolling. So we're still at $15,000, and that's the one that we really need to watch and spend. And you were talking, Amanda, about, do the math people need something? ESS money can be used to purchase programs and support materials as long as it's used in ESS. It can be used during the school day as well, but it has to be used during ESS. So if we bought a new math program, just throwing that out there, and they used it during ESS time, they could also use it during regular school time. So just to kind of keep in mind that we do teacher salaries and extra pay through that, but it can be used in different ways. Our instructional money, which is our biggest money, is at $36,193.43. We've spent about 33% of that, and it's the end of October. Normally, we've spent about 50 to 60% of that, just because I tend to be a heavier spender in the fall to get people what they want and what they need. This year, the district has spent a lot of money on technology needs, and that has helped our budget. I have talked with Jennifer Russell, our library media specialist. We have a technology plan in place where we update technology. And one of the things that we were going to update this year were some desktop computers for teachers. But after talking with her, we had to run a new program, Windows 10 or something, and it kind of updated them anyway. And we were wondering if the desktop computers were more important to get, or we've got some smart boards that are really, really bad, and they're not on deck to be replaced this year, but we may have a little switcheroo and see what the building technology needs really are, so that we get what teachers need technology wise, since we've got the budget to go ahead and purchase some things for this school year. Our district activity account is like a small version of the instructional money as far as what it can be used for. And there's about, let's see, I always have trouble reading this one. It says $17,319, but it is not all ours to use. Some of it's allocated to the library, and it just depends on where the money comes from with that. But Miss Bethany could help us figure out what is there to use. But we could use some of that money on technology needs, or whatever the building needs were. Our custodial budget sits at $7,796.50. And our school activity budget total is $21,713.64, with money accessible to, like, school, if we wanted to buy the kids rewards or whatever, around $3,673.69. It hasn't grown. The only way that account grows is if we have a fundraiser or we charge a fee or something like that. In the past, we have charged a school fee that we've put in that account so that we can buy pizzas for parties and student rewards and drinks and candies and stuff for kids. But we did not charge the school fee this year due to just the financial situation of a lot of families during this time. So we've had to be a little bit more careful on spending since we're not generating a lot of money into that account. Any questions or comments about our budgets?
Miss Brady, if you all did find a program that you liked that was on the expensive side, could you share that cost out of a couple different accounts, like the ESS and then also the instructional account, like,
yes,
to where if you did find something, excuse me, that you thought would be beneficial, to where you could cover that cost maybe out of the two separate accounts?
You can, because basically it's one big pot of money that's been chopped up, as long as like when I share that last one, the school activity account that we had, the 3,000 that I'm saying was generated by fundraisers or fees, that's a very governed account by Red Book. The others are a little more similar in how the rules about spending. As long as we didn't break any rules about spending, you can couple some monies together. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, there's like two different pockets, because one of it's like money given to us and the other one's money generated by us. So they have two different rules about how they're spent.
Okay.
that is the end of our agenda. Does anybody have any questions or comments? You all were such a lovely group. I appreciate y'all being on, and I will look to our next meeting should be the 3rd Monday of November. I'll look to see what date that is and everybody's availability and if we can be in person or virtual, because a lot can change in 3 weeks. So I'll just touch base with everybody later, and I hope you guys get healthy and stay healthy. And thank you all for being with me today.
Thank you,
I
Miss
need an
Brady.
adjournment. We need to adjourn officially.
Oh, I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, I got Amanda Knopp and Kim Goff. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Again, thank you all, and I hope you all have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.